Okay, pop quiz. How many cells are there in the human body? A, 370 million. B, 370 billion. C, 37 trillion. And D, well, we just can't count that high. Well, the answer is C, 37 trillion cells in the human body. I can't count that high. That's a lot. However, each of those cells should be controlled, should communicate with each other to form this miraculous human body. Well, maybe not this one, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, do you think that those cells should be organized, controlled, so they all work together in concert to provide this beautiful symphony we call life? Yeah, guess what does that? One system called the nervous system. That's what we're going to talk about. So what's a nerve? What are nerves? Well, we know people get nervous, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the actual physical structure of a nerve. And that reminds me of a story. In dissection class, we're working on human cadavers, and we had my professor, big man, great big beard, fierce beard. I think that was to catch all the fumes in there. But anyway, this guy said these nerves are strong, and he dug his hand right into the back leg of a cadaver and grabbed this rope-like structure with his hand and lifted the whole body with it. That was the sciatic nerve. Super tough, super strong, because it has to be. Conveys messages through there that supports life in the whole body. It's important. So, a nerve. A nerve is actual tissue. It has substance, it has strength. It's like a rope. But there's parts to that nerve. Three main parts. There's the sensory part, the motor part, and the autonomic part. The sensory part is what you feel, what we feel. Heat, cold, pain, that's all sensory. The motor part controls the muscles. The autonomic part controls the health of everything else. The health of the nerve, the health of the blood vessels, all the other messages that we don't have to think about. It's interesting though that the sensory part is only 10% of what we feel. That means we're only aware of maybe 10% of what goes in our body. Makes you think, doesn't it? So if we're only aware of 10% of what goes on our body, what does that mean? What else is going on? Well, think about it. Are you aware of your heart and how it beats? Are you aware of how your food is digested? Are you aware of how your eyes see? Are you aware of oxygen intake, carbon dioxide being out? No, we're not. That's all automatic. That's all nervous system. And that's controlled by this thing in our head, which is encased in this really hard bony structure called a skull. The brain. The brain is a central processing unit, and it sends messages down that spinal cord, out the side nerves. That's our nervous system. It's very important it works. Well, let's make sure it does. So how does the nervous system work? Well, everything originates in the brain, and it travels down through the spinal cord, out through the side nerves, through electrical impulses. Those nerves carry those electrical impulses, and they release a cascade of chemicals to keep things going. It's pretty cool. It's really important that the brain and the body communicate, and that the body in turn communicates back up to the brain. We call that the safety pin cycle. I'll talk about that next. So safety pin. Safety pin is better when it's closed so you don't prick your finger. That happened to me when I was a kid. Different story. Safety pin cycle though is messages going down the brain into the body, and the body reading it and saying, hey brain, here's what's happening, sending signals back up to the brain so the brain can do what it needs to do. That constant loop, that constant communication back and forth is essential to what we call homeostasis. That balance of systems, cells, communicating everything so that we can stay healthy. That's the safety pin cycle. But if that pin opens and there's a break in that signal, things don't work well, things fall apart. Maybe you prick your finger. Ouch. Okay, so what causes a break in the communication between the brain and body? Well, damage, degeneration. damaged discs, anything that puts pressure on the nerves, not only causes pain, but there's more going on. There's bigger health concerns. In previous videos, we talked about sciatica, pressure on that nerve, and that causes pain down the leg. Well, there's more going on because all those nerves also run all your blood vessels, all your organs and your glands. And if that creates an imbalance, we're talking about bigger problems with health. That's why people with sciatica often have bowel problems, bladder problems, sexual dysfunction, just to name a few. And we gotta fix those. Another thing the nervous system does is not just physical stuff, it's also mental stuff. Everything you think, everything you dream, all of your emotions, all of your moods are an indication of the health of that nervous system. So it's pretty interesting. We talk about mind and body connection. Well, that happens right in the brain. And it happens all through the body too, because of the chemicals released from the glands that we call hormones. We talk about hormone imbalance, how people get moody or people get depressed or anxious or elated and happy. All of that is the chemical soup that is released through modulation of those glands by the nervous system. Should be very important to keep that nervous system healthy. So the point about the nervous system, the point about our miraculous body and our ability to heal ourselves, which we call homeostasis, that balance between ups and downs, well, that's all modulated by something called the autonomic nervous system. And there are two sides of that system. There's the sympathetic system, which means, hey, foot's on that gas pedal, go, 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 fight or flight, or the parasympathetic, which is the relax. We should be able to relax, but when we need to get going, we should be able to get going. In our society, though, most of us just stay going, foot on the gas pedal until we run out of juice. And that is catastrophic. So someone who is permanently high-strung, someone who is in that sympathetic imbalance there, that's the foot on the gas pedal, eventually they're going to run out of gas and their system's going to shut down because it becomes exhausted. With those people, we see migraines, we see chronic fatigues, we see metabolic syndromes, just a failure to get that energy, and it just drops and people become very ill and they don't respond anymore to conventional and easy treatments. That's why it takes time for those people to get better. So someone with a bad disc or chronic pain for years and years and years, their system will be overwrought, and it's going to take time for them to get better. Thankfully, we have the ways to do it. So what restores that nervous system? What brings that communication back to that nervous system, closes that safety pin? Well, a chiropractic adjustment does an amazing thing by removing interference in that nerve and that nervous system. By a chiropractic adjustment, putting the spinal bones back into alignment, takes the pressure off the nerve, and the brain wakes up, sees what it needs to do, and goes and does it. A natural healing ability. So are there anything that we can do to change that balance and create more of a balance between being all high-strung and freaked out and being like totally chill, man? Yeah, there can. What we can do is, first thing is breathing. Start by just doing some breaths. Take some deep breaths, let it all out. It'll feel good, it'll feel better. Make that part of your daily routine. That's a good one. So we have these terms, pinched nerve, neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy. What do they mean? Well, they all indicate nerve function that's not working properly. So if we take opathy, that means a nerve that's not working or something that's not working properly. So either things are working too much or too little. It's that imbalance again. Well, that needs to be fixed, because without that, the nervous system can't communicate with itself, body can't communicate with the brain, and you get things like pain and numbness and tingling and weakness. We don't want that. There's another interesting technique. If you're feeling pain in the muscles or pain in what you feel is nerve pain, we can do a technique called nerve flossing. You floss your teeth, don't you? You should. Well, this is the same thing. So those nerves, let's take my arm, and those nerves go from the brain down through the neck into the brachial plexus and spread out through the arms. But those nerves are, again, like strings or ropes, and we want to floss them. So we want to take our arm, extend it all the way, bend the wrist down, open that hand, bring it back, close it in, go up like that. And we want to do that. And there, that's nerve flossing. We want to do that with all the parts of our body. It's kind of like stretching, but it's moving the nerve. And that's proper spinal hygiene. The biggest thing we can do to improve nerve function is go get checked by a chiropractor. Make sure that you don't have any bones out of place in that spine pressing on a nerve. That's a condition we call a vertebral subluxation. And that can be catastrophic over the long term to somebody's health and well-being, not only physically, but mentally as well. So, like you go to the dentist, at least get checked once a year. I'd say more often, but get checked by a chiropractor because it's very important to your overall health and well-being. So there's different types of chiropractors, different types of techniques. Some are heavier, some are lighter. And you probably maybe be familiar with some of the stuff you see on YouTube where people are ripping guys' heads off with towels and popping and cracking and doing that. That's one form, that's more fringe stuff. There are techniques that are much more specific and lighter and do an incredible job. What happens when you go to a chiropractor is they analyze your spine, because inside that spine is your spinal cord and all of the nerves that come out from it. If one of those bones or more is twisted, it puts pressure on the nerve. It's important to make sure that those bones are straightened out and that pressure is relieved from that nerve so the body and brain can communicate. That's what chiropractic is about, because it elicits the natural healing power of your body and your body just naturally heals. That's good medicine. Welcome to the walk. Sometimes when things get out of hand, it's really, really important to separate yourself. And it's more important to physically remove yourself from a situation. And one of the best things to do is to go for a walk in the woods. The Japanese call it forest bathing. I'm not gonna butcher the translation, but their point is they go and they just spend time in the woods and look at the surroundings and look around. It's beautiful. So forest bathing, it's an interesting idea. You remove yourself, don't bring any electronics, don't bring your headphones, just go for a walk. Listen to the sounds. You can hear the wind. You can hear the wind moving the leaves in the trees. You can see and hear birds. It's just a beautiful thing. It's a complete separation of your normal environment. The other important thing is to breathe. Breathe it in. Breathe in that pure air. Feels good, doesn't it? You know what? The fall, the leaves, the smell of those leaves, it's just, there's something really, really good. Makes you feel good, makes you feel happy. Interesting, they did studies on forest bathing and lower blood pressure, better digestion, slower heart rate. It's kind of like instant meditation. That's something you can do to calm your nervous system down. Hey, listen, when I have a problem I can't figure out, I go into the woods, go for a nice walk. By the time I'm done, I come out, I feel better, and the solution just pops right into my head. Good stuff.